Hey, Gary, man. Stinky and I want to let you in on something groovy.
REM is not just another bunch of good old boys from Athens, Georgia. Together for over 3 years, REM has strengthened itself due to consistent touring and the growing support of loyal fans. They also have just released a new album, Murmur, on IRS Records.
People are making these days of a new band like REM that is using, I'll use the word using guitars, because I think most of the new music people are hearing on the, quote, new music radio stations around the country are music that is not using guitars. And here's REM band coming out maybe with that sort of the guitar values, as it were.
My favorite new anecdote, about 2 weeks ago I did an interview with a guy from a paper down in Florida, and he said that REM was one of 3 bands now that aren't using synthesizers and that are, that
3.
I know, and here's this guy that lives in America, and he was going by what he heard on the new music stations or what have you, which is mostly English, and I didn't ask who the other 2 bands were. I was kind of afraid to, but I just said, "What are you talking about? Look around you. There's so many American bands around, and most of them are probably guitar oriented, or certainly not synthopop, except for a few like Ministry, who I'd just soon not think about anyway. But there's so many great independent bands around that are on independent labels that are really great, and Husker Du, for example, who were at Folk City last night, were just incredible.
Doesn't it seem odd to you? It seems so odd that a guitar-based pop music can all of a sudden be sort of the exception rather than the rule.
Yeah, and that is kind of weird. I think the whole syntho thing has just kind of like the trend of the year or whatever, and it's going to die out soon.
You think
I
so?
have nothing against synthesizers used properly, but I think most bands who are using them now don't really have a clue what they're doing or how to use them. They're using them more, just getting a beat and putting a repetition over it and like 1 or 2 hooks and putting some usually pretty ridiculous words over that and calling that a song.
Vocals,
yeah, and someone like Wall Voodoo, who are not my favorite band, but they use synthesizers probably more properly than most of the people that we're talking about.
Stop it, worried. We could bind it in the sieve. We could gather through a fit.
I thought the album came out, it's a great album, but I think it came out sounding a bit sort of, the moodier side of the band came out on the record, on the LP, as opposed to what you are live and as opposed to your earlier work. Would you disagree with that statement, or?
No, not at all. A lot of the songs are perhaps a little bit emotion packed, or at least for me they are. I don't know. We kind of leave ourselves open to interpretation by whoever the listener is. For me, a lot of the songs are kind of sad.
Right, because live you see you and it's a very upbeat experience, but the album isn't all smiles.
Yeah, live there's this kind of there's a energy level that we reach, on a really good night, and I don't know, the stage thing, usually whenever I get up there, and I know Peter feels the same way, and Mike and Bill too, but just being on stage is such an absurd thing to do, and the whole...
What do you mean?
Well, just the whole thing about being in a band is so ridiculous, and I get up there and I kind of realize what I'm doing, and it's kind of silly, and so
instead of being bogged down,
it makes me laugh.
Most of it.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of I think on the ladder of important things in this world, being in a rock band is probably, you know, a lower rung. But then again, being Secretary of State is probably way down there too, you know, just below dishwashing, I guess.
Since getting involved more with the higher end of the business, say the higher echelon, as opposed to, say, a van, sleeping in a van type of operation, how has your perspective changed?
Not very much, really. I realize there's a lot of business to the music business. There's a whole lot more than I would have ever imagined. It's kind of funny when I think of someone like Lux Interior and Ivy Rawshock having to go into an office and sit there for 3 hours and mull over contracts and things. But those things have to be done. Fortunately, we've got Jefferson, who takes care of most of that stuff, and we can pretty much be left to write the songs and perform. We don't have to worry about that so far. That's about the only real difference, except that perhaps we're playing to more audiences now that know the songs, and that makes it nicer for us. It's always good to get a reaction.
This is no movie. This is real.
Soviet Sex from the Lower East Side is becoming one of New York's most popular bands. They're currently involved in several recording projects, and we hope to see something out on vinyl in the near future. Here's a little tease called Everything is Beautiful.
Look at it, boys and girls. Don't close your eyes.
Who Killed Society is a former Montana band now living in Seattle. Watch for their forthcoming release, a 12-incher, on Ruthless Records.
Hello, this is Grace Jones. You're listening to
Crib Death. Carry on.
About love, sex, drugs.
Ladies and gentlemen, even though Elvis is badly wounded, he is still trying to gain control of the Zorchatron ray gun. Sir, what do you think Elvis's chances are?
Welcome to Russian Bandstand. This is your host, Nikita Klarchev. In Russia, almost everybody watches Russian Bandstand. Next on the Russian Bandstand is country's #1 singing star, Nikita Presleychev. What are you going to sing, Nikita? No, that's the wrong song.
Hey, comrade! Be black, brother, be black. You ain't black. You black.
This is Crib Death 18, and we're listening to Big Black, Post Office Box 442, Evanston, Illinois 60204. Would you care to join us?
Gary, to the control room, please. These guys are fucking crazy. They're melting my VU meters.
What do you expect? It's Big Black.
Gary, would you mind telling me who played Circular Saw on that last number, please?
Apparently Steve Albini, whose band is called Big Black because every image of evil is depicted as a looming dark figure, in short, big and black. Steve hails from the Chicago area, the same as our pick hit from Crib Death number 17, The Book of Lies. Hi, Preston. Both are still unsigned, although Big Black have put out an EP with some of the tracks on this tape plus some newer material. The first track we heard was on cassette only, Jump the Climb. Underneath us now is I Can Be Killed, and coming up is a song called Rip. We apologize to Steve for taking so long to get to him that he's pressed most of this material on vinyl, but on the other hand, Bang Zoom listeners should get an apology from Steve for this twisted, sick, and downright immoral concoction of so-called music. We liked it enough to make it our pick hit for this issue. We're still looking for tapes. The address is Crib Death, P.O. Box 3, Buffalo, New York, 14216. My name is Gary Sparazza. My engineer is Spandu Billy, Vic Viola in the real world. He's turning green over Big Black. Play on, maggot brain, play on. Oh my sick. Any distortion on your VU meters as you're listening to this is Steve Albini, not us. Just enough time to warn you not to fast forward the rest of the side of this tape now that we're leaving you. We'll be back next issue, and I think Spandu has got some serious scratching up his sleeve for next time. Take care. We love you. Bye.
Swan, a person or thing suggesting a swan because of its grace, whiteness, or fabled power of melody when dying.
Rank and File have come a long way since Chip and Tony Kinman played in the Dills in the late 70s San Francisco punk scene. Now living in Austin, Rank and File also includes guitarist Alejandro Escovedo and drummer Slim Evans. I spoke with Tony Kinman while they were doing gigs in New York with their friends the Blasters.
Did you ever see a sheep in a pork pie hat? Ever see a lemming dress all in black?
Do you like living in Austin?
Yeah, I love living in Austin. That's about the only place that I think it's the best place for us to be, and it's, you know, I mean, of all the places that we've toured since then, it's really about the only place. that I want to live right now. It's easy to live there. The music scene's good. It's really diverse. You can go out and see any kind of music any night of the week, and it's easy to go see music there. The town's not that big. Plus, they haven't got there's not a super inflated club scene there. It's pretty easy to go see music. You decide to see a band, you look in the paper, see who's playing, you go out. It costs $3 or $4 to get in, you go see it.
Here in New York, it costs you like a fortune if you want to.
Yeah, it's a lot. It's economically more difficult to go out to see music in this town, I guess.
Your audience is what's it made up of now? Do you have like country people that come to see you?
Yeah, we do. It's a real variety audience. We get country fans coming to see us. And then we get every other sort too. Every other sort of music fan. That's why when you asked about scenes, is that we're not really part of a scene, so there's no. And that was tough when the band was getting started. It was tough not having a scene to be a part of. There was no magazine that would automatically write about us. There was no word of mouth getting around, from friends to, at shows or anything. There was no scene that we could fit into and draw from. But it's real, and so that was tough when we started out. But at this point in time, and actually since about the last year, it's been really good because we draw all sorts of people.
Right.
And there's no place that, except for the occasional mistaken booking into a new wave type club.
Right.
Say in a city we haven't played before, most of the people who like us will come to any club to play. That's why we like to play like variety clubs that have a variety of types of music.
I caught the train at the station on the tracks to the right. It had an engine as old as the moon. With my ticket in my hand, I waited for the man in the whistle. It howled out of tune. Well, the brakeman did his job and the fireman did his. Yes, he kept up a good head of steam. I ride this train. Yes, I ride this train.
I see it being better that you're, it's better that you grow as you do and not being part of a scene and just being what you are, because after that scene's gone, a lot of the bands go. But if you do your own thing and grow with it, then you have no scene to lose. There's no trend to pass over.
Yeah, there's no backlash. There's no, the scenes decide that they've had enough of you. You become boring or something. So all of a sudden, there it goes.
Right.
Which is basically what happened that was the Dills experience in San Francisco at the time. We became, boring and old hat to the punk rock scene. There were the Dead Kennedys were just coming up. There were all sorts of bands that were playing. We're still playing hard and fast and doing it a lot better than we ever did. And so, so of course people who wanted that would go see them instead of going to see us doing Sound of the Rain or It's Not Worth It, or You Don't Matter Anymore. Or some of the songs that we were doing.
Do you like playing this music more? I would assume.
Well, I love doing what I'm doing now, but I loved what I was doing then too. But I've changed a little bit. My tastes have changed. I'm not in a punk rock band anymore. But yeah, I wouldn't say I love it more, but I wouldn't want to be doing now what I was doing then. That's there's
because
no place for that here. Yeah.
You get much airplay then, like in the South or in Nashville or around there?
We are being played on a station in Nashville, and there's a lot of like the college stations throughout that area too. There's a couple of local country stations in the Austin area, and I understand a country station in D.C. plays us occasionally. Not that we've been added or anything, but they do play our record, and I'd like to see more of that too, because I think that country listeners could really there's some stuff they could really enjoy on that record. But the approach hasn't really been made to them, and there's a way you've got to go about just approaching them, and that that really hasn't been done yet. And so, maybe if it's done, they'll spin it more.
You don't have to be a PhD to realize that American music is in a very sorry state. Most of our good acts have signed to major labels and in the process lost some of their edge, while our so-called indie scene has sort of dried up since the class of '77. One of the better American bands is REM from Athens, Georgia. Their latest release, Murmur, is the follow-up to their Chronic Town EP of a year ago. It follows the same themes as the EP did, and even includes a new version of their first single, Radio Free Europe, which is better than the original. There are some slow-moving moments on the album, but as a whole, Murmur is a testament to what new music should sound like in America. Coming from the same area as REM is Pylon. Their latest LP, Chomp, is another American triumph. There is some brand new material on this record, but it relies perhaps too heavily on the band's singles from last year. While M-Train, Crazy, Beep, Altitude are far better than a song like Reptiles, Pylon still has a very strong album here, and most of it's quite danceable. But a prime example as to what is wrong about the current state of affairs in America is a band called the X-Teens. Weaned from the same crowd as REM and bands like the DBs, the X-Teens apparently haven't learned anything from their hometown contemporary Mitch Easter. I'll let the music do the talking. Indoor Life is a New York band and they have potential, but their debut EP is quite frankly a little limp. They've got the right ingredients to be your basic synth dance band, but their music lacks teeth. It just doesn't bite back. And with a little more feeling and less imitations of Brian Ferry, Indoor Life could be a band to be reckoned with. Then again, maybe not.
I was just looking. It was a silent scene. Your unmistakable manner, your manner. Everything so in its place. Everything.
Sometimes good records smack you in the face. The B-Team's Buy American does. And sounding like Early Gang of Four, I'm going to sound like a rock critic now. Next thing you know, I'll say seminal. Sound like Early Gang of Four, B-Team used many seminal, see, I told you I'd say that, influences, and, well, come out with a good record. But if you want to talk about bad records, check out the LP from Blue Miami and the Cosmetics. They give new dimensions to the word garbage.
I was working in the lab late one night when my eyes beheld an eerie sight. My monster on the slab began to rise, and suddenly, to my surprise,
Until next month, this is Lascalzo for Bang Zoom.
Yipe! I better put my pants on!
I can see clearly from the time and eyes. I'm going to the mountain where the fire is there. No one will accept all of me. So the fire will stop. Up through the street.
Eccentric, outspoken, or just plain conceited are words which have been used to describe Jeffrey Lee Pierce of the Gun Club. At the very least, he's not boring. The only member who has lasted his own purges, Jeffrey has passed through over half a dozen musicians. Now playing with drummer D-Pop and guitarist Jim Duckworth, Jeffrey seems content with his latest choice of musicians. Or maybe somebody's putting happy pills in his Wheaties. Following the interview is a live recording made with now unemployed gun clubbers. Do you want to talk a little bit about what the EP is going to sound like? Is it going to be in the same vein? Is it going to be any kind of drastic change from what we're used to? Or
no, I think it's just a lot like the same. I think it's a lot like the same thing. It's a lot harder now, I guess. It's like musically structured, I guess. It's more like the second record, but it's played like faster and louder or something. Just mostly because of Jim Duckworth is just a maniac, you know. He's such an overbearing guitarist. He's like 3 times the guitarist Ward was. Because Ward was a good guitarist, but Ward was just never, he was never, if you know what I mean, aggressive, yeah.
He seemed a little introspective, like he was holding back a little bit. I could definitely tell that he was a good guitar player, and I liked
Yeah, he is. He's a good guitarist. He's a great guitarist, but he's not an aggressive guitarist. He's more of an introspective player. He's more of a thinking guitarist. But Duckworth is just a gorilla. I mean, he just goes crazy. He just breaks all his strings. Yeah, he just feeds back on every song. He's just completely out of his mind.
He's fit in real well.
Yeah, he's just a southern kid from Memphis. You know, drops acid still. You know, he's out of his head. And he's great. He works out perfect with us, and he just sets D loose, and D just goes crazy too. And D's like been really restrained for a long time doing that Bush Tetris thing, that he's like really digging being in a rock band again. So they're both like, I mean, I couldn't even control them in the studio. Songs that I had maybe meant to be more subtle or something like that just turned into great big noise epics. There's one that's like 7 minutes long and it's just pure racket. It's like Sister Ray or something. You know.
Sounds like it should be pretty good.
Because it's been good for me, too, because they've swung me back into that direction, too, which is where the band originally started.
Yeah.
When Kid was in the group, we were really like a noisier band. It kind of, it just kind of like swayed into a really more musical, writing-oriented thing. You know, and now that I've got these new guys, the fresh blood, it's kind of like gone back again for where it started.
Were you ever thinking when you met that girl uptown? Were you ever thinking when you pulled her underground? There is no fire in your glass.
What was it like? You didn't play in LA too many times, right? Before you recorded the album, or it was,
No, we played to death in L.A. before we did the first album.
like what clubs did you play?
All the shit dives, you know, all of them. Name one. I think we played every one. Perkins Palace is the only place we didn't play, I think. Every other imaginable club we hit.
Was it hard getting any kind of acceptance because of at the time you were playing, there was a big punk thing and all that? You really aren't.
Yeah, it was real. We never did. We still haven't. We never did get any acceptance over there. Because we weren't hardcore and we weren't rockabilly, and everybody, it's all classification there.
So you find
It's not. They don't even give a shit about music in Los Angeles. In Los Angeles, they only give us. It's all a matter of social groups and cliques and labels for them and stuff. It has nothing to do with music. The more unique you are, just the more you separate yourself from the whole audience in general. There's, I guess now it's opening up a little bit. These bands like Dream Syndicate are coming out, and they're popular. They're big draws in L.A. A band like that wouldn't even have a chance 2 years ago when we were doing it.
He's dead on the lawn of the house that he owned. What will they say about him?
It seemed like when you put out the second album, the material was strong and everything, but I just got the feeling from the album that you weren't happy. It comes across that.
Well, it wasn't mostly like. Well, see, I thought it was the best songs I had ever written.
Yeah.
I still think it's better songs than maybe in the EP even. I think that those songs are better. But so I was happy with my own personal part. I thought it was the best I had sang too. I was happy with my own personal side of it. But I was happy with just about everything after that. The playing was you can hear shifting rhythm changes. There's all kinds of bad playing in there. Terry was hitting the snare drum so softly that you couldn't even, we couldn't even do anything with it in the mix.
How was it like working with Chris Down? Did he have a real lot to do with the production? Or?
No, it was about half and half.
Is he helping produce the
He produced some of the better ones. He produced like Watermelon Man and shit like that, which I like, and that's like all just Chris. I mean, I had nothing to do with that song. I wasn't even in the studio during it. I did like Mother of Earth, because I was pushing towards a more echoey country thing. It's kind of weird. It was a real weird combination of things. It was also too many people had say in the matter, so it comes out real confused. But like at least in this thing, it's just me and Chris. Nobody else has any say in the matter. All the new musicians, even though they're my new band and stuff like that, they're strictly employed. It's not like where everybody gets to jump in and argue for their opinion, because we cut all the opinions out except just mine or Chris's, and on the next album it's just going to be me.
Down
Stumbling through the usual variety of styles, folk, blues, and rock and roll, the Replacements managed to come up with an enjoyably mutated brand of music. The following song is called Lookin' For Ya, and their new LP Hootenanny is available on Twin Tone Records. For Bang Zoom number 3. We'll see you in a couple of months. In the meantime, if you're in a band and would like us to review your record or tape, send it along. Also, please send us any comments, suggestions, questions, or whatever else is on your mind. The address is Bang Zoom, 34 East 7th Street, New York, New York, 10003.